While I do enjoy a good strength workout or even hypertrophy workout session every now and then, what I have found to be the most effective when it comes to training over the past 15 years has been adding complex movement patterns to my workout routines. And when it comes to a body that doesn't just look good but feels good, and combining strength with endurance, coordination and flexibility all in a single workout, there's almost nothing better than animal style movement patterns. Not only do those help you build pretty much on every single foundational aspect of fitness, but they can help your body feel better than it has ever felt by giving you an actually holistic workout experience. So today, we're gonna do it together. We're gonna go through a handful of animal movement style patterns for a workout that you can do pretty much every single day. And with just 10 to 15 minutes a day, over the course of a couple of weeks, you will see some amazing results if you can do this consistently. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. First things first, we need to start with proper mobilization, especially for the two joints that are going to experience the most pressure during this workout, which will be our wrists and our ankles. So putting as much pressure as you can without experiencing any pain, you will move forward, lengthening your forearms, strengthening your wrists, and then when pushing backwards, we will elevate our knees, push our feet into the floor, and lengthen our arms and shoulders, taking off pressure from our wrists and putting as much pressure as we can on our ankles. Moving forward, you can either put your knees down if you are lacking the necessary strength to hold this position, or if you're experiencing too much discomfort in your wrist when pushing forward. So you will either push back, lower your knees and then push forward, or if you can, keep your knees elevated and repeat. We're only going to do this a handful of times just so we can mobilize our joints and help them acclimate to the upcoming pressure they will experience. Push forward, hold for 3, 2, 1, and reverse. Really drive your feet into the floor, lengthen your arms and shoulders. And the next one, we're gonna hold for another 3, 2, 1, driving backwards. And this time, we're gonna switch it up by moving laterally, the tiniest bit, putting more pressure on one side before we reverse and put more pressure on the other side. Don't forget, you can pause the video at any moment, repeat multiple times if you enjoy a specific exercise, or take a short break if you feel that it is necessary. You don't have to go through the whole thing in one single go, though after a couple of weeks you will definitely be able to do it easily and consistently. Final time to one side. We're picking up a little bit more speed. One more time to the other side. And with the last 2 repetitions, we're gonna hold it for 3, 2, 1 on one side, push backwards, and final time for 3, 2, 1 on the other side. Drive backwards, lengthen your arms, shoulders and back, and release. In between exercises, we're just gonna shake it out a little bit, go for a nice walk, and stay as loose and as comfortable as we can, just so we do not cool down fully before we go into the next movement pattern. By simply getting into a deep squat with flat feet, if that is possible. If your heels raised, don't worry about it. You will be developing the necessary ankle mobility as we progress. Hands down on the floor, bring your knees down all the way. We're now adding a little bit more spinal mobility by going into extension, back into a deep squat, and from here adding posterior chain flexibility by extending our legs as far as we can. If you can, extend them all the way. Now we're going to push our shoulders forward towards our fingertips without our heels raising. So if this is the end of your range of motion, absolutely amazing, don't worry about it. If you can go all the way like so, perfectly fine. Reverse into a deep squat first, and knees down, spinal extension. We only need to do this a handful of times. Feet flat, extend your legs, push forward, put as much pressure as you can, once again on your wrists and shoulders, lengthen your entire posterior chain, push backwards first, bring your knees down, spinal extension, mobilizing our spine, our hips, knees and ankles in conjunction with our shoulders, so we can go through nice, fluent and subtle movement patterns as we progress. All the way down, extension, and one final time, all the way up. Push your shoulders forward. We're gonna hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reversing. Knees down, holding the extension for 3, 2, 1, and pulling back into our deep squat and going for another shake it out walk. Just a handful of seconds. Relax, release, shake everything you've got. Now we're gonna get back into a quadruped position, and now depending on your capabilities, you will either join me in raising your knees, moving into the tiniest bit of spinal extension, elevating your hips to shoulder height, and simply moving left side with right side, and right side with left side. If this takes too much strength, you can go for a baby crawl with your knees on the floor until you develop the necessary core and leg and shoulder strength to go through the classic bear crawl. Forward, left with right, right with left. And what's very important, we will always reverse the movement pattern, which is going to take a little bit more strength, but most importantly, a little bit more coordination, strengthening our mind-muscle connection in those complex asymmetrical movement patterns that include as many joints and as many muscles as possible. One more time, forward. And now we want to add the tiniest bit of rotation in our hips, externally into one direction, externally into the other direction. Slowly, in a controlled fashion, we're only going to reverse this one once before we take another break. Turn outwardly, switch left with right. Turn outwardly, left with right. Strengthening, most importantly, our hip flexors and quads, which are very important to work on, especially as you grow older and as you advance in age. And those become one of the most important problem zones we need to work on so we can enjoy some real longevity as we progress. I'm gonna shake it out with our first short lateral movement, now requiring a little bit more hip mobility when it comes to rotation externally. Hands down, either on your fists or like so, and we're gonna elevate our feet the tiniest bit, go through tiny jumps, and then switch our arms towards the other side. Tiny jumps, controlled fashion, and wanna actively hold the elevation just for a half a second before we release our body weight onto the floor. You don't have to go all the way up, just tiny jumps, and of course, switching directions. Once again, you can slow down the movement as much as you want, and over time, as you become more adept at going through those, you can speed it up, add explosivity, or even longer ranges of motion upwards to strengthen your arms and shoulders even more. Conditioning our wrists by putting pretty much our entire body weight on them, and helping us work on our ankle mobility by landing in a controlled fashion. Once again, we've only got 2 times for each direction. And we're almost done. Another 3 or 4 repetitions, if you want to call it that. There you go. And once again, getting up, shaking out our legs, our arms, our shoulders, and most importantly, our spine in a very loose way. A very short one. Back to our front-facing exercises. Once again, depending on your capabilities, we will either move into an elevated bear, so almost extending our legs. What's really important here is to bring our hips above our shoulders, or if you have the necessary posterior chain flexibility, which we are working on right now, we'll extend your legs all the way, moving from an elevated bear to a giraffe walk. Extended arms and legs. Left with right, right with left. An amazing posterior chain flexibility exercise, not just for our hamstrings. And you can also move left with left and right with right. Of course, we will have to reverse this. And depending on how high your hips are, you will experience either more or less stretch. And if you're really flexible in your posterior chain, you might not feel any flexibility benefits, even though they're there. One more time, forward, left with right, right with left, or if you want to, you can move both on the same side simultaneously. You can play around with those. These are just pretty much guidelines. And the real thing we want to work on is for you to be able to go through whatever movement pattern you feel like at the moment, combining them, putting them together in whatever way you enjoy the most. Get up and shake it out one more time. Take a couple of deep breaths. Once again, just a very short break so we can move on to the next exercise. Moving on to another lateral exercise, and what is probably my favorite animal style movement pattern, back into our ape-like patterns. We will lengthen this position even more by now elevating and extending one leg completely, adding adductor flexibility, massive amounts of hip, knee, and ankle flexibility by moving sideways all the way, extending one leg completely before we elevate once more, land carefully, push our hips down, open our adductors and our hips all the way, lengthen one side, and repeat. Now, due to the length of this movement, we'll only have enough space to go through a handful of repetitions, which is why instead of doing 2 lengths to the left and to the right, we're gonna go through 3 complete ones, all the way up. Extend one leg, push your hips down, open up your hips, and reverse directions. We're already in our second length, all the way. Now we're actively pushing our hips down, and we're only moving when one leg extended until the next leg is extended, and only then do we elevate our body and move sideways. One more time. Back. Putting a lot of pressure on our wrists once more, and a lot of strength for our shoulders as well. We've got our final round. All the way up. Lengthen, push your hips down. And the amount of hip, knee, and ankle mobility we build with this exercise is simply amazing. And is probably one of the most effective hip openers you can work on, especially in the more dynamic category of exercises, when we leave out stuff like the couch stretch, for instance. All the way up, shake it out. If you're feeling your quads, shake them out even more than you did before. Take a couple of deep breaths, because once again, we're only doing a very short pause, so you can get as much endurance benefits from this as possible. And with our final exercise for this workout, we're gonna break it down into 2 separate sets, because this one is a real doozy. It's gonna take a lot of strength, coordination, and endurance, with our starting position being left foot to the front, right hand to the front, and now we're gonna lower down as closely to the ground as possible, open up our elbows and our knees sideways, and we're gonna go through a lizard walk, left with right, turning our upper body, getting as close to the ground as we can, and right with left. Get as close with your foot to your hand, turn inwards, down to the floor, and repeat. We're adding shoulder rotation, spinal rotation, hip rotation, adding rotational pressure onto our knees, ankles, and wrists, which in turn is going to help us strengthen all of these joints, the surrounding tendons, ligaments, and muscles. The reversal is going to take even more strength than the forward movement, which is why only one length. Shake it out. Take a couple of deep breaths. If this is really too hard, simply pause the video, take a short break, and then resume. Or if you're ready, we're gonna go through our final set. We're almost done. Stay with me. Once again, left foot forward, right head forward. Close to the ground, elbows, knees outwards. Left with right, right with left. Close to the floor. A rotation in our entire body. All the way. One forward, and once again, reversing. And of course, during the reversal, we're gonna have to be a little bit more explosive, because if you slow the backwards movement down, it's gonna be nigh impossible to go through it. One more back, and shaking it out. One more time before we have a nice and relaxing cool down exercise. Take a couple of deep breaths. Bring your heartbeat down or under control. Because our cool down is more of a feel-good exercise, we're gonna lay down, back flat, feet flat as well, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. You can open up your arms sideways, even extend them, and all we wanna do is let our legs fall to one side, combining internal and external rotation on the other side, the tiniest bit of lumbar spinal rotation as well, releasing any sort of tension we carry around this area, especially after those exercises, before letting them fall all the way to the other side. Now we're not actively pushing inwards, we're simply letting them fall wherever they go, because this is more about relaxing into those positions instead of pushing into a longer range of motion. Take deep breaths and move them at your own pace. Left side, let them fall, and then right side, let them fall. Wherever the amount of lumbar or spinal rotation you have is more than enough. If this is the end of your range of motion, absolutely amazing. If it goes all the way down and both knees touch the floor, even better, mad respect. We're only gonna do this for a handful of times. Left and right, breathing deeply. Now before we close up, we're gonna put our legs as close to our upper body as possible, grab them with both arms, and simply move from one side to the other. And of course, you can relax in this position as long as you feel like. Now, when it comes to programming, there's not much to say. You can do this pretty much every single day. You can decrease the amounts of pauses you take between every single set and every single exercise until you go through the whole thing without taking a single break, which you will get there, trust me, if you can do this consistently for 3 times a week, which is not a lot to ask. 15 minutes, 3 times a week for all the benefits you can get from such a short workout is pretty acceptable, I would say. And if you're looking for more variations so you do not get bored, you can check out this video where I go through dozens and dozens of animal style movement patterns that you can add to your repertoire and you can add to this workout. And if you like the video and subscribe, because we do stuff like that pretty often, which means that I'll very likely see you soon. So until then, have a good one. Captain Cairo. Peace out.